Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Mentor Movement Podcast. I'm Kylie Montigney. I'm so glad you're here. And today I'm so excited to introduce you to one of my good friends, Rini K, who's a singer songwriter and actor. During
Uh,
today's episode, we'll be discussing mentorship in music, journey of writing music, and so much more. Thank you, Rini, for joining us today. I'm literally so excited to catch up with you. It's literally been so long, honestly. Long I can keep
Girl,
track.
yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be back. It's always a pleasure. I just have like vivid memories right now of you and me like debriefing at Memory Look, I believe, in LA.
Mhm. Yeah,
That
it
was,
was memory look.
girl, we were talking about everything. We were talking about life. We were talking about school, like just everything. It
I
was so
know.
great. It was
As we bring that up, like, why don't we talk about how we met? Like, that is full circle. Like, let's just say that to say the least.
girl, I'm like, did you reach out to me on Instagram and like 2019 or something? Like it's been a
It's like
long time.
2019,
It was
2020. It was
crazy.
like it was I started my first podcast in 2021. So it was
Okay,
probably like
yeah.
2021, 2022, probably at that point.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, I'm like trying to remember if I was in Dallas or North Carolina
I
at the
think
time.
you were in Dallas at that point when
Okay.
we talked, when we
I'm
first
glad you remember better than I do because my memory is like a goldfish these days. But yeah, that's like so crazy because I really associate like the trajectory of like my career so far with you because I know you're like one of my first like ever media things that I ever did.
started.
Ever interviews that I was doing. And it's like so cool because you've just stayed so consistent in my circle like all these
Mhm.
years later. And we were both like so young when we were still
I
very young.
know.
Like we were like really young when we
Yeah,
got
because
started.
when we
We were
first
babies
met, you were a senior in high school, and I was about a sophomore in high school at that
then.
point.
Yeah.
So it was we were pretty young when we first met. Like you, of course, you're going to like your sophomore year of college. I'm going to my senior year of high school. Like
Yep.
this flashback of those days.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Crazy times for sure. I mean, I know before we got on here, like we were just talking about how it's like that those years, it's feels especially like for me right now because I've had that transition into living in LA, going to like in-person college since I was in online high school all 4 years. And it's just like because it's so different that like even though I was a senior just a year ago, I feel so different. Like it feels so far ago. So it's like really cool to still be in touch with you because that's like
I
so
know, and that is
different.
something that me and you connect on. Because of course I do online school, so that is something that
Yeah.
I know that connected us with really well. Because of course we had kind of similar situations on online, like we kind of had similar structures in terms of online school. So it
Yeah.
really got us a ton to talk about. I'm still doing online school to this day, but it's like
Yes.
it really got us talking a ton about online school and
Oh
how
my.
going into in-person school is crazy to go back, of course, with college and everything. You're like, are people gonna think I'm weird because I do online school? Like, it's
Really, yeah. Like it was a time for sure. And I will say like I'm only like a year or two older than you, but when we first met with the whole online school thing, I saw so much of like my even younger self in you, like with your situation of having this like outside pursuit, which was, your interest in journalism and this podcast and Talk of Fame and whatever. And so it was like I really admired that, like
Mhm.
just because I was like, oh my gosh, like she gets it, she's
Yeah.
also this like high school kid who's trying to do this like really like independent thing here that most people our age just don't really have the chance to do or aren't really interested in quite yet. But yeah, that transition from I was so nervous about it going from online high school to in-person classes at Cal State Long Beach, which is like, oh my gosh, nobody fact checked me on this, but like I think there's like 40,000 kids that go there.
Mhm.
So I had no idea. I'm like, would people know? Would people care? And luckily it was one of the like I'm so glad I did it. I'm so glad I went because it really did give me like such wonderful friendships and relationships with people that I wasn't getting a couple years ago, at least in my own age range.
Yeah, and it's like with you starting music, writing music at such a young age, I think you started in middle school or something, right?
Good, yeah. I still have music from middle school out. And it's really funny because I have some super fans, my Reniacs, as I call
Mm.
them, who, when I do my little Tuesday night jam sessions, which I'm actually doing after this, they still request songs from that first album I made in middle school. And it's so funny because I'm like, I love that they find appreciation in that music. Because for me, I think as creatives, we always like are evolving, and when
Mhm.
we look back on that younger work, we're like cringing. We're like, oh my gosh, this is so bad. But I'm like, no, this still means something to people. So I'm like, you know what? My little 12-year-old heart is just booming that somebody is finally listening to Six and Seven all these years later.
I know, like every time I check the Reniac Instagram group chat, it's
The
always
fact that you're
about
in
the
it, by
old
the way.
album or some sort of music. It's always like one person's like Elvis Presley, one person is Taylor Swift. Like it's
Yeah.
always or this your old songs. I'm like, bro, what is going on? It's like pop culture in this group chat every single day.
They're covering it all, you know. I think you got to interview them next.
That might be my next part. Is
They're the
like
next
maybe like
guest.
an Instagram live with everyone at some point.
Shout out Soph from Rini K Nation. She's the next guest on the
True,
podcast.
that is true.
Yeah.
But we like, of course, with us being like knowing each other for like 2 years or a year now, we didn't meet until like February, like actually meet in person,
Yes. Oh my gosh. Isn't
which
that
is
wild?
crazy. I feel like it was literally just yesterday that we actually just met.
I know. It's just like it was such a fun time. I don't even know what I was doing that day. I feel like I
Like, I
forget if
think you were actually at the studio. I'm
was
surprised
I?
that I'm remembering this. Like, I'm like,
Oh
my
my
brain, every time I mention something, it's always coming into my head right
You
now.
have such a better memory than I do because I'm the opposite where like for me, I couldn't tell you what I did yesterday. Like
I
literally,
know. Honestly, I like one time like one point I remember everything. The next moment I can't remember a single thing I did yesterday.
no, oh my gosh. It's so crazy. But yeah, you might be right. I was in the studio a lot last semester. And yeah, it was so crazy. I remember I feel like I was late because LA traffic is a menace to society, as we all
I
know.
know, yeah.
Um,
You were
but I
like a
can't
couple
complain
minutes
because I'm one of the
late, but it
transplant
wasn't
queens.
entirely. Like I'm this
Yeah.
LA traffic is so bad. Like you could like sit in traffic at night, like 10 o'clock at night and still be in traffic.
It's one of those things where it's like I honestly though coming from Dallas where like it's not necessarily traffic here, it's wild drivers. Like just look up Dallas drivers on like TikTok. And I always tell like some of my friends who, you know, I'm like the DD because I don't drink and I you know, I'm like the one person with the car on campus. So I'm like, you know, I'll be like driving us to our little beach day or whatever.
Mm.
And they'll be like, Rini, you're such an aggressive driver. And I'm like, no, it's because where I came from, okay? I
Yeah,
learned to drive
this
in
is where I
Dallas.
came from, born and raised. If you're from
Or
Texas,
I
Dallas,
wasn't even born and raised.
exactly.
I literally lived in Dallas for 2 years. And but I was 16 when we moved here. So I had to learn and get my license here. And girl, it changes you. It changes
I
you.
know, like from being Pennsylvania, like there's parts where it's like okay drivers and aggressive drivers. It honestly depends on what part of PA you go, like Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, like all those main areas.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah, no, my
Especially
dad grew up.
Philadelphia, those are insane though. Like especially in like downtown Philly.
I imagine. I mean, city drivers are a beast to, you know, on their own, but there's an aggression in Texas where I'm like, I don't even have to be in Dallas. I could be like, I literally had my driver's test in Corsicana, Texas, which is like a very small town outside of Dallas, and I was struggling even there. So when I moved to LA, I was like, you know what? There's a lot of traffic, but because no one's moving, there's not like a lot that can happen on the road that will like be scary, you know?
I
Um,
know. It's
so
basically it's
yeah,
like
it's
the
just
same view of Dallas with having the same kind of energy a lot, I
it's all
feel.
perspective, right? So I'm like, honestly, I can't complain about LA traffic because I'm part of the problem. I'm one of the many transplants that came
I'm
there and
one
is
of many
contributing.
stupid fast ass
I'm
drivers.
one of the problem. I'm the problem. It's me, you know?
I know. It's
So,
like I'm the problem. Nothing's gonna stop. This is where I was raised. Nothing's
but
gonna
I'm
stop.
just a girl. So, you know, you got
Literally,
like, I'm
that's
literally
literally
just a
true. If
girl.
you're
So
born in that way, you're always gonna be that way.
I was born, you know, listen, I was forced to be a delicate princess driver, but I unfortunately was forced to learn to drive in Dallas. So now
Oh,
I am a devil demon driver.
true, yeah. You mean you're from Dallas, you have to drive crazy you're from Dallas, Texas. Like,
Yeah,
Texans,
it's part of the
like,
part of
they
the job.
go big or go home. Like, it's like die hard.
Go big or go home. Listen, as long as I got that Texas plate on the back of the Lou Master, I have no choice but to live up to my name.
True. If we don't, then no one's gonna know. You just think you're just a stupid LA driver.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'm owning my culture.
I know. But I know we talked a bunch about this last time we talked on my other podcast, but to give a little more depth for this one, tell us more about you and your work a little bit.
Yeah, so I have been in the music industry since 2020. That was quite a year to enter the industry. The year of COVID-19, the year where Gen Z started witnessing a little too many historical events for their liking.
True.
Um, but yeah, so I've been writing for years on years, and I started releasing back in 2020, and I put out my debut album, Six and Seven, which was songs that I made in middle school. And yeah, like that was kind of something I did all on my own. I did it in my childhood home in North Carolina. And, I had no guidance or connections to the music industry at all. So I kind of was just, winging it, just, doing my thing. And then I joined TikTok in 2021. And that is when things started to really pick up for me. I met some amazing collaborators through there that I still work with today. And then, of course, the most important part, I started growing my fan base, the Reniacs, and it's kind of been history since then. From there, I started working with producers and co-writers and really elevated my music to where I want it to be. And I've been doing that. And then last year, I started taking up acting since it's become a newfound passion of mine. And now that I am in the City of Angels, where a lot of it tends to happen, I was like, why not? Let me get started. So I did a couple of short films last year. A couple of them were lucky enough to get to go into a festival run, which was super cool. So shout out Q, directed by Iñaki Herrera, first project I did. And um, we were very, very lucky to see some festival attention from that. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now.
It's like full circle because when we first met, I remember you telling me that like you were about to get into acting. It's like, oh my gosh,
Oh my
like what
gosh.
a life. Like I just
That's actually like, wow, 4 projects later, here we are.
I know. I'm literally so surprised I remember that because I can't even remember what I just did 20 minutes ago, which was
Bro,
getting home from work. So it's like I
yeah,
don't know one like how I can remember something from about like 5 months ago rather than
certain things stick with you. Yeah, for
I
sure.
know. I ask this question every time I end this episode, but what does mentorship mean to you?
Ooh, mentorship to me is being helping guide someone that you see potential in, that you see a lot of you see a lot of shared traits and shared values that you have. I'm probably a little too young to be anyone's mentor. I'm hardly experienced myself, but I definitely know, like, when I see younger artists, especially female songwriters and stuff that I just really admire, I like immediately am like, I want to support you. I want to, if you want any advice, if you want any guidance, like, please come talk to me. I'm not scary. I'm like, I want to help everyone out as much as I possibly can. And I've been lucky enough to have many mentors in my life and learn from my predecessors and whatever. So it's been really I really do think that it's all about actively becoming a active listener and helping guide people that you really see something in. They we all need to pay it forward at that point where we can.
I know. That is literally the best part about social media and what we do is that we get to connect with so many people that we
For
never would have
sure.
met if we didn't do
It's
what we're doing.
beautiful.
Which
Yeah,
is why I love social media so much, is I'm like, I get to text people that, reconnect with people that, I talked to maybe like or a couple months ago or something. So it's like
absolutely.
it's crazy how much social media works and how TikTok really reaches you to so many people. I know you've been getting like followers literally every single day, which is that every time I see your TikToks, you're really growing and growing.
Thank
Which
you.
I'm
No,
like, oh
it's
my God, like I need to get more like attention on social media, especially TikTok. I'm so bad at posting, but I need to actually get on the grind a little bit.
I
Actually,
hear you. I hear you. No, I mean, we were just talking about this earlier. The things I do for TikTok, it's pretty crazy. But honestly, too, it's, even beyond TikTok, I've had a lot of luck on YouTube Shorts recently, which has
me too,
been
honestly. It's YouTube Shorts or TikTok for me, honestly.
we love YouTube Shorts. Like
I know.
Haley Faye Rosenthal and I have been talking about this, and I'm like, girl, you got to get on this, and she has, and she's seen a lot of success with it too. So I love my YouTube community too. That has been amazing. I'm very grateful for that, and it's just been a wild summer, and I'm feeling very blessed about
I
it.
know. Like I always say I'm gonna do something with social media or make more videos or whatever, then I never do. Maybe some
It's
points I would like I would every once in a while, but I'm like,
yeah,
I mean every day grind, not like once
yup.
or like once a month lucky.
I hear you. Yeah, no, that is the life. That's, it's a commitment for sure. I mean, I literally was doing it yesterday, like my little tripod's like sitting in my suitcase that I never unpacked when I came back here. But
You
yeah,
probably
it's
would never unpack at some point.
I just live out of a suitcase at this point, to be
I know,
honest.
yeah.
Hopefully
Like
that's
every
ending.
time I feel like me and you are always traveling somewhere. Like it's always one point to another.
For sure, for sure. For me,
Like,
I'm
you're
just
either in Dallas, LA, or New York. I know you've been out in New York a couple times over the last couple months since I saw you.
Yeah, I went up there once for just pleasure actually. My family had planned a trip upstate for an attempt to get out of the Texas heat. Unfortunately, they had a heat wave while we were there, so they can probably blame us for that.
Yeah,
But
sure.
yeah, I'm really hoping though to make it to New York City to perhaps play a show soon. So
Yeah,
keep an
we
eye
me and you talked about that. We better have a show soon.
out.
I know a
We're
bunch of
working
us
on
texted in a group chat about having a show in New York City.
We're definitely working on it. And we're very excited about it. So hopefully we can get a venue lined up, and once we get the ball moving on that, keep an eye out.
Definitely stay tuned on social media, peeps. Like that's what's for
Absolutely. Instagram
so
stories, YouTube community tab, all the updates are
TikTok,
there.
YouTube Shorts, really anything. I just
Literally everything. You will never escape me and my sad music. So,
and clingy and embarrassing TikToks. That's all.
yeah,
That's where we can just put it.
that's where it ends. Yep. You will never miss the Reniac battle cry.
I know. Or just some of the embarrassing TikToks of making lip syncing to your songs is always key.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially when I pull out the stuffed animals. That's like when it
True.
really,
True. Yeah,
really,
that's where
that's
we
when you
end it there. That's where we end it. But thank you everyone for listening. I know we kind of had like a little fun episode here, not as
we
much as
did.
like
This is what you get for bringing on a yapper onto your
that's what you
podcast.
get from actually having someone on that we literally blab on everything. Like
You
on
have
different
two
topics
yappers in
that we
one
never
room. It's
never stop talking about
they
something
can't
and
help
just keep
themselves.
going on.
Yeah.
But that's what you get when you have two people that talk too much.
Yeah.
But
We can
I
keep
thank you
it there.
everyone for listening, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And all the Reaniacs out there, I hope you all guys enjoyed this little funny episode, different episode that we
Absolutely.
have. Make sure to like, subscribe, review. I'll put all of our social links below so you guys can check her out, like TikTok, Instagram, stuff like that. And thank you, Rini, for joining us. It was
Thank
so
you for
great catching up with
having me.
you, and we need to get you to Pennsylvania as soon as possible.
Absolutely. Hey, I come to Pittsburgh every year for Christmas, so
Hey,
maybe.
I'll be there next like 2 weeks actually. So great
Oh,
time.
there you go. That's where we're meeting next.
Yeah, definitely. Stay tuned for pictures, guys. But thank you, Rini, for joining us, and
Oh, thank
talk
you
to you
so
guys soon.
much.